We've all probably heard the difference between good stress and bad stress, but in reality, the body doesn't know the difference between stresses. Basically, the more stress there is, the more certain things tend to happen within the body. And when we view stress as just bad and we avoid it, we're actually doing a bit of a disservice to our body, because our bodies are meant to handle and to adapt to that stress. Now, obviously, stress in the form of exercise has been shown to be great, but there's also a lot of other interesting things where stress appears to help, not just with exercise. And that's things like intermittent fasting, that's things like cold therapy, that's things like heat therapy, like really hot saunas. But I'd like to focus more on the exercise piece for this video, because again, when we think of stress, we don't always think that it's good, or we think maybe good stress is stuff like exercise. But in reality, you have to know that to make changes to the body with your exercise, it has to be pretty stressful. That doesn't mean exercise, if it's not stressful, isn't healthy. You still get some benefit out of it. But if you're looking to actually make changes, physical changes, metabolic changes, it's going to have to be enough to stress your body and cause it to change. I titled this The Art of Stress because there's a fine line between how stressed you get, how much you push your body, how much you overreach, we call it in the strength and conditioning world. Overreaching is basically a stress. Overtraining, which sometimes those things get intertwined, but overtraining really is tough to do. It's what happens with maybe Olympic athletes or professional athletes that are just training hours upon hours of every day and not getting enough recovery, and they hit a point of overtraining. And really the only or the best way to get back to normal is to relax, take a lot of time off of exercise, do a lot of parasympathetic nervous system types of recovery. But for you and me and the average person that's trying to be healthier, exercise stress is a good thing, but how much of that really depends on your lifestyle. Go back to the first point, or one of the first points that I made in the video. The body doesn't know the difference between stress, right? So in terms of balancing your stress, managing your stress when it comes to exercise, if you've had a day where you didn't sleep well, I don't know, your kids kept you up all night, and then you're just busy and you had all these appointments and you want to get your workout in still by the end of the day, I would say, hey, take it easy. Take it easy with that workout. Do some light stretching. Maybe do a little resistance training, because you still can get some benefit from a little. I have another video that I did a while back called Do a Little, a Lot. So if you're just doing a little often, like you're doing that a lot, that's great for you. And it really helps psychologically, because you can still do something and it keeps you in that habit and that routine. But back to my point, if you're kind of just drained and you're not recovering well, your body's been very stressed already that whole day. So to pile on a lot more stress, say with a really difficult exercise routine, you're probably at diminishing returns there. You're probably not going to get a good bang for your buck. I would just push that tough workout to the next day and get some really good recovery that day that you're really stressed. Try to get to bed early. Try to get a lot of hydration and water if you didn't already that entire day. But it's not like you can just do one thing. Stress management is an entire different category on its own. But again, there's an art to that management, and you want to be able to fit your exercise within that art. So the best way to really make a lot of progress, whether it's gains muscle wise or fat loss, or metabolic health, but making those changes, those physical changes to your body via exercise stress, the best way is to really make sure you're recovering the best you can. I know everyone's situation is different, but sleep, getting quality sleep. I just did a video on sleep, not a video, but an article. But that's one of the most important things for recovery: sleep, hydration, getting sufficient protein, and healthy fats. Carbs are not really that necessary when it comes to recovery. Sometimes you're gonna crave them if you're overstressed, but enough healthy fats and enough protein are really the main parts that are involved in recovery. And I'm not saying you don't need carbs. Actually, you don't need carbs, but I'm not saying that they need to be avoided. But generally, they don't have that much to do with making sure that your body's recovered. If someone came to me and they weren't recovering well, hey, can you get better sleep? Can you up your protein? And can you make sure you're getting enough healthy fats, which are involved in hormone production? So back to the point though, let's say in example B now, your recovery, you slept well compared to what you usually sleep, you're feeling good, you can get in a good workout. Hey, that's a great time to push it harder that day. And if you can stay driven to recover well so that you can exercise harder, those things are intertwined. So, that can help you stay motivated. Keep that in mind, that if you recover better, you can exercise harder. And on the flip side, just remember, you're real busy. It's still better to do something than nothing. But you gotta have that stress management and know the art of stress. That yes, it's a good thing, but if you're overdoing it, the body doesn't know the difference between stresses. Remember, it's getting stressed. You don't then want to pile it on, say, especially at the end of the day with a very stressful exercise. Now, one last quick tip here with the exercise and the stress. If you can knock it out, a hard exercise session first thing in the morning, get a good breakfast, let's say, right after that. A lot of people find that throughout the rest of the day, they do handle stress better. And it's because your body has already been pretty stressed. And so it's like no big deal the rest of the day. Your body has already had a pretty good dose of those stress hormones and it's been hit by it. So just remember, it's not always that black and white. It's like, well, stress is good, stress is bad. There's an art to it. There's a management to it. There's knowing your body. There's making sure that your recovery is the best you can make it. Again, given your situation, right? Everyone's going to be in a different type of situation as far as how much sleep they can get, how much quality sleep they can get, how much exercise they can put into it. But if you do get a little overreached, remember that's necessary to make changes. It's just that you want the overreaching to be due to your exercise. You're pushing it a little harder, you get a little overreached, then you recover. That's kind of the basic premise of progressive overload in strength and conditioning. We do want to slightly overreach, then we recover. We slightly overreach, we recover. But remember, stress is needed to make those changes, to make those bodily changes. It's not always a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing if there's too much of it, we're not managing it well.